Welcome to the Workplace Ninja Netherlands podcast, a series on Microsoft's modern workplace management.
So, welcome again at a new episode of the, what is it? Workplace Ninjas, workplace management series. Yeah, I'm hosting 3 podcasts, so I was a little bit confused which podcast we're doing, but it's we can see it at the things on the mic.
You mean the plopkap, Frans?
It's the plopkap in Dutch. Yes, that one on the mic. So we're in again in Breda. Kenneth, you heard already speaking. He was talking already. He's joined remotely. So let's back and dive into a new topic in the workplace management series. Joost, what is the topic today?
Everything about updates.
Updates, update rings, update management. What's that? Why do we need that? And because we have an unmanaged, sort of unmanaged workplace. It's modern managed. It's not directly connected.
Not managed.
It's not managed, but how?
Not managed.
not managed. Yeah. So it's still managed.
Yeah, definitely.
But I know there is an event in the upcoming weeks, and I thought I heard something about a session that was given by Peter and Joost, I guess, about update rings. So probably you guys know everything about that.
We should, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. There's something,
Okay, yeah.
What are the challenges?
We're still reading it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Learning some stuff from Kenneth as well, so...
Kenneth is the specialist.
No.
Also.
Nobody is a specialist.
He's installing updates also.
What should I... I'm new into that. What should I know?
It's more about the approach. You need to have updates on everything on a device. Could be Android, could be iOS, could be Windows, could be anything, but also applications, maybe policies. If you go to applications, you got the application from another supplier. You got updates for Microsoft Office. You got updates for the vendor. You got all kinds of updates. And that is something we have to manage via something like Intune or maybe another product. But definitely we need updates.
Yeah, and how do we get that on every system, every application, and so on? So first, let's start with the Windows updates. In the previous days, we are managing that with SCCM, Peter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What is the approach if we are coming from an SCCM managed environment and going into co-managed hybrid? What are the approach with update management?
I guess it depends on the scenario, but what I normally used at customers were based on collections. So you create some kind of pilot collection, and then maybe before that even a pre-pilot collection, and then a broader collection with the rest of the devices, and then you could deploy your software updates to all those collections, and based on the timing, the devices of the pre-collection, of course, got the updates first, day 0.
Yep.
The pilot collection maybe a couple of days later, so that the people in the pre-pilot collection could test it, and then you move forward, and then as quick as possible after Patch Tuesday, you should be patched.
Yeah, and in the previous recording, we already have some challenges with device groups, user groups.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same for update rings? Because we're coming from device collections, and the approach.
So, if you just purely look at SCCM, and SCCM was a way of controlling updates, and if you translate that to the more newer update rings, To me, there's not much difference because if you want to control how your updates are being installed, if you just talk Windows updates, then you want to first test it in a small group and then broaden the scope, and then before rolling it out into the rest of the company. And with update string, that's basically the same. But since, like we discussed in the last podcast, Intune is more user-centric and SCCM was device-focused. You need to make a switch. For sure, if you want to deploy the software update ring policies to groups of users, which define the ring. Because back in the days with SCCM, it was painful to maintain the pre-pilot collection. Because that was IT, and an average IT guy gets a new laptop every 3 weeks because it's a new model, it's quicker, and I don't know, much more features. So you need to maintain that. And if you move to a more user-centric approach, then the user is in the pre-pilot ring, so to say. It's just an Azure AD group, and it doesn't really matter which device he or she is using.
And if I do the switch to Intune managed update rings, I saw last week there are 3 update sections. One is for the normal updates, one is for the feature updates, and one is for there's another one.
The quality updates.
Yeah. What is the difference, and how should I use them?
The first one is basically the normal update ring, and there you can control if you would like to install also Microsoft updates, if you would like to install driver updates, and when do you want to make them available, what are the deadlines, what is the reboot behavior, what are your maintenance windows, etc., etc. So for quality updates and feature updates, you can set different timings. So for instance, for the pre-pilot, the quality updates becomes available after day 0, for the pilot after 7 days, and then you can create your rings. The feature update policy is basically a policy you can use that in 2 ways. To migrate of, for instance, 21H2 to 22H2. You can use that to use update rings or groups to move to a newer version, but you can also use them to stick at the version. So if a user or a device's member has that policy set to 22H2, it will never upgrade to a later version unless you say that it's allowed to do. And the quality updates, to finish off, that's basically to bypass everything and to install a patch which needs to be installed quickly. So to expedite updates.
Okay. Can it, if we have a normal landscape in a modern managed way, so not co-managed, a modern managed way, what are the challenges that we are facing with update rings? What are there common scenarios that you where you say you need to do that way, for example?
Well, I think that mainly the big challenges are actually with adopting the update rings strategy, because we also all of us have a lot of experience, but I used to come from an environment where we actually had 4 environments available in development, test, acceptance, and production environment. But due to the nature of how Microsoft 365 is implemented in most companies nowadays, saying one tenant, we actually need to test this in production. And we don't have the luxury of spending months testing anymore, especially when it comes to updating our operating systems or any other software there. So we must come up with a strategy to do this in our production tenants. Well, and therefore, you can define 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even more update rings. And an update ring actually, you actually start small with a small use of groups which you give the update first, and then you actually broaden that scope of users, where more and more users, until of course 100% of your user population or the devices of your user populations are updated to the latest version. And actually finding those users, especially in the second or maybe third update ring, should be a representable set of business users using the applications which make the business run.
Yeah.
Because if you don't let those users test, then you will never know the outcome of the updates being installed.
And they should know that they are part of such a group, so that if they find something, that they will report it directly. Otherwise,
indeed, yeah. So maybe you should give them something back, maybe a shortcut to second line support or something else. But they should be aware of the fact that they are running up front when it comes to receiving updates, etc.
Yeah. Anything to add, Joost?
No, I think that's yeah.
That's easy. That's the easy part.
Yeah, we like to do it with 3 rings at this moment. So you got ring 1 is the IT, ring 2 the representative state, and the ring 3 is the broader deployment. So that's.
Yeah. How's that for you, Erik?
I'm not using the update rings. Maybe I've a different. It's not complete for me yet to use it. So from an MSP perspective, there are some. It's not always laptops of endpoint. There's also servers.
Yeah.
So how to update a server by Intune? Not possible. You want for a small customer, you want a single. You don't want to have 2 different systems to manage 6 devices, 6 laptops and a server, for example.
Yeah.
So we use a third-party solution that we can manage Windows updates for servers and Windows updates for clients and Windows upgrades. And one of the biggest challenges is revoking an update. Try that with Endpoint Manager or Intune. It's quite challenging, and with the third-party solution, you can easily revoke or stop, for example, a Defender update from being available to install. So what we are using is a third-party tool for the updates for servers and for endpoints, and also the upgrades, which is also something interesting, because we had heard that the latest version of Windows 10 is released. So we have to upgrade to Windows 11. Maybe another podcast, but how are we going to do that?
But you're also taking this from a phased approach, I reckon. You're not publishing directly all the updates on day 0. I guess you also test them in...
Yeah, we also have the ring approach, of course.
Yeah.
A maintenance, like a maintenance window for the servers. The servers are always a little bit late, but the remote desktop service, for example, we do it earlier. And then, of course, we also have the IT, but there is no IT at the MSP. So the clients get the updates if the patch Tuesday on Thursday.
Okay. And then your internal IT guys are able to test it if they find this an error or the community says, "Oh no."
Yes. For servers, we wait. Depends on the criticals. Of course, sometimes you cannot wait, then we have to move on.
What Erik is mentioning is the functionality around update management, is that complete, or are there missing features in it, like revoking an update or uninstalling an update and all that sort of kind of stuff?
Now, when it comes to using the update rings, we actually can pause an update ring deployment. So, meaning that if you find out while you are deploying to update ring 1 and you're finding out that there is an issue, you can actually pause update ring 2 and 3 in that case. So it's more a matter of actually making sure that those updates are not distributed then in that case, but there's not a clear way to uninstall Yeah, of course, you can do that with scripting. That's always possible. But it's not like within Intune, within the console, we have the option to say, hey, uninstall the latest update from our devices. So the only way is to stop the update rings from doing that. And if you need to uninstall something, you should come up with maybe a custom script or a custom application in order to deinstall the update if that is causing issues. But again, if you are starting with a small group of users, the impact is of course low when something is going wrong.
Yeah.
And in this case, you're not alone. Like another maybe 10 million devices are in some kind of first ring. So if there are issues, it will be discovered fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But we have seen a Defender update a few months ago.
Domain controller update.
Yeah. And then in a fully modern managed way, it's sometimes hard to uninstall and to revoke a specific update that is coming probably through one of the rings that we don't want to install it that way.
Yeah. I have some thoughts about that. First of all, we should always ask ourselves, what is better, risking the fact that there is might be something breaking in the update, or waiting with updating because of all kinds of scenarios that we can think of. Well, today with security patching, I don't think waiting is an option anymore.
Fair point.
But again, you should always at least have procedures in place to so that you know what to do in case something goes wrong. And I see a lot of customers, they are happily patching, but they don't have the procedures in place to take action. For example, by pausing their deployment rings or doing some other stuff in case something is wrong. And that should be part of your overall patching strategy.
Yeah. And now we're talking about the updates of Windows. On top of Windows, we have applications. What about the applications, Joost?
Yeah, sorry, I'm distracted by something Peter just sent us.
So we're first moving back.
Yeah, please, because I think this one is good to add. So maybe Peter can take the mic and.
To be honest, I never needed to uninstall a quality update, but the feature is there in the update ring. I don't know if it works. Maybe it's not working.
I haven't used it either. No.
But what we've just seen in some sort of screenshot from Peter is that we can uninstall quality updates to a ring. So that could be helpful when in an emergency case. But let's test it in
how
the near
fast is
future.
It? How fast is it?
And if the machine already is broken, then of course you cannot uninstall
times
anything.
100 tenants.
That's it. Moving forward.
But not in the application approach. I think first all the Microsoft applications and that kind of stuff. So
there's applications.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but first to have a little bit of structure, applications, Windows applications, Microsoft applications, then moving into third-party applications, and at last let's see how we manage updates on Android and iOS, and macOS, for example.
Yep. Fine.
So Microsoft applications.
Let's start with Defender updates because it's already taken here in the room. You can create multiple rings for updates, syncing, and when getting which update.
Is that in the same config portion within Intune, or is that configured a different way?
Manual policies for that one.
Is that that is basically in the endpoint security?
Since yesterday, it's in endpoint security under antivirus. It's possible to create those steps, and we did it under the settings catalog items. So since yesterday, you can create it on antivirus part, but that's settings catalog as well, but
Yeah. What are the
another place.
preferred what are the preferred settings for updating Defender antivirus? Is that still the 8 hours that we are using from System Center Endpoint Protection? Eric?
As fast as possible.
As-
That's
yeah.
what we do.
Om uw apparaat in
There was something in from the remote location from Kenneth.
Yeah, was it? Oh, okay.
There was some noise, I guess.
Okay. That was not a noise cancellation in that case.
Oh.
No.
Hey, concerning the updates for Defender for Endpoint, so we actually have 3 types of updates being distributed there. So we have the security intelligence updates, which you might want to distribute as fast as possible. We have engine updates and platform updates, and all of those can be actually be put in update rings, to say so. And to answer your question about the 8 hours, that's still the default value, Frans. So 8 hours is the default value of the what we call the signature update interval.
And it's the interval that is realized on the Microsoft end. So we're still
But
relying.
can be set on the client. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we are on the client, if we are set at to 2 hours, for example, there will be no new update within 8 hours.
Indeed, yeah, but it will check faster. So again, say for example, it's hour 7. Microsoft updates a new signature update. It will check within 2 hours, and it might be that in other cases the client waits for 8 hours to come. So it's the client side timing in that case. Yeah.
this is a new one in the settings catalog. So you can now set those signature update intervals. So that could be an approach to the rings as well.
Yeah.
So we like to do it in for ring 1, ring 2, ring 3 is the 2, 4, and 8.
Yeah,
And
the,
then
sa-
you
the
get-
same approach as for the normal updates. The normal updates are configured in on the devices, and there are 3 config portions for updates. For the Defender updates, that's configured in endpoint security in the settings catalog at the moment. Are there more updates?
For Defender or for, okay, next step, Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
So the Microsoft 365 apps, it's the same approach. You get current channel, semi-current channel, enterprise channel. So you can make a difference between it, and you can update it as well in the same
Where do we
ways.
configure that?
Where? Via the settings catalog.
It's again through the settings catalog.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Same approach as the Defender updates, as the Windows updates.
The first choice you have to make is, are you going to use monthly channel or monthly enterprise for your broader spectrum of users? And that way you can approach it to the back.
Yeah.
So in front you can use that as well as rings.
It's a little bit different from Windows. It's the same from the third-party solution. You can only set the channel, so it's slightly different than the Windows update. Then you can set this revoke, for example. But in the Office, you can only say this channel. Just put this Office in this channel, and that's the only thing you can manage. There's nothing more to manage from a third-party specific.
Yeah, with Intune you can set deadlines. You can configure when, for instance, a security update becomes available for what channel or what version, and
So
you have much more control in this.
Yeah. So to summarize there, first of all, we can select a channel for the Microsoft 365 apps, current channel, monthly enterprise, and on top of that, we can also delay or set deadlines when new updates are being delivered and how long it should take before those are installed on the devices. And all those options together give us the options to actually modelize this in the update rings as well.
Yeah. So we have our Windows environment. On top Defender, we have there on top of that the Windows Office applications, and then third-party applications. Or do I miss something?
Yeah, we are still missing one, and that's Microsoft Edge.
Edge is different one than Office.
It's again a different one, and maybe before Joost will explain Edge, Edge, Office, Windows updates, and also Defender for Endpoint use their own update channel mechanism. It's not all using Microsoft Update in this case.
Is there anything on the road to combine that?
I don't know.
No, different
Yeah,
teams.
that's Autopatch.
Yeah, but then the source is still different, and then also in Autopatch you have different policies to configure everything.
It makes it a lot. It makes it a little bit complex, so to say. All the different channels, all the different applications, all the different ways.
It gives you a lot of flexibility.
That's the other way.
To make it more positive.
It gives us consultants still work to do at our customers.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's all other products. So every piece we already discussed, it's another product. And every product does need a different approach of updating.
Yeah, but on the other hand, on the Microsoft end, it's all different teams. So they are all doing their own stuff instead of...
Until Office 2016, the updates just came with Windows Update or Microsoft Update. And I think they changed it with...
Why? Do we know that?
I don't know. Just because... Now maybe I know because they wanted to have different channels. So... The more slower channel, the semi-annual enterprise, then the monthly enterprise, and the monthly just current. So you have different channels, and if you want to embed that in Windows updates, then it's undoable, I guess, for a team like that. So maybe that's a reason.
Yeah, probably. Joost, Edge updates.
Edge updates. You got different release cycles over there as well. You got a staple and you got an extended staple. So in that way you can create rings as well. The stable is 4 weeks. The extended stable is 8 weeks. And in that approach you can create some rings as well.
Yeah, and do I have also the opportunity to use the beta or the canary or whatever it's called?
But that's not something we are using. That's maybe fun for web developers and that kind of stuff to see what's coming new and is this going to work for my website or
but can we configure that
application?
Yeah, we can configure that, but it's also important that when it comes to Edge, you can actually run those browsers side by side as well on the same system.
Yep.
And so if you want to have a canary build or a preview build, you can actually install it side by side, which is not the case, for example, when we are talking about the channels in Microsoft 365 apps. You either have current channel or the monthly enterprise. So we have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to Microsoft Edge in that case.
And if I'm using the normal Edge build in combination with the canary build, for example, then there need to be 2 update rings or update configurations in Intune to facilitate my machine with updates for both Edge installations because they can run by side.
Yeah, I have an opinion about that. I don't think when it comes to from a management perspective that we support the non-stable channels. So if there is a canary build installed, it just updates as at the moment that the new update comes out.
Yeah, that's
and we don't want to delay
that
update in that case.
That's what I thought. If you start Edge, then it will update. That was
Indeed,
It's quite different if I set up my laptop, it won't update.
Well, for the normal build, we can manage that through an Intune policy.
Yeah.
Not for the canary or for the dev build, but for the...
we can, but that doesn't mean that you need to, because if you don't do anything, actually the update will get installed at the moment that the browser checks if there's an update available.
Yeah.
So in the case of Microsoft Edge, it's only a matter of getting control on the updates when they are installed. And that shouldn't necessarily be on day 0.
You get the dev, that's weekly. And you got the beta environment, that's in 4 weeks. And that's more often in the approach we normally want to take. So that's a good one. So, but
we don't want to control from a management perspective. You don't want to control the dev or the canary build.
No.
the stable, probably we could and we would.
Yeah, you have some policies to make sure that the user restarts the Edge browser within an X amount of time.
Yeah.
So you can say, okay, there's an update. You need to install it. You need to restart your Edge within an hour or 2 hours or 8 hours.
Yeah.
So you have kind of control.
Yeah. Let's make it positive. As Peter said, you have the flexibility to do a lot of stuff on also on Edge, but also on Office, on Windows, on Defender. What do we have? Third-party apps, or do we have other things to mention, Joost?
I think the third-party apps are the next phase, and that's a more difficult question. I think there are many approaches you can do.
Yeah, what's the Microsoft recommended approach? Do we know that?
To update.
Yeah, but how?
How? I don't think there's a recommended approach.
Like nowadays, we're using Defender, so we know what the vulnerabilities are. We know what software needs to be updated and so on. But it's not doing automatically.
It depends on the application. If you install Java to be auto-updated, then it will auto-update every time there's an update. If that's something you want, I don't know. But there are a lot of applications that are able to update themselves, like Office, like Edge. That's something you would want in an enterprise? I don't know, but fact is that you need to update because an application can have vulnerabilities. You could be vulnerable for a lot of dangerous attacks. So it's a little bit of a...
Yeah, and to add to that, applications installed from the Microsoft Store can also auto-update in most cases. And of course, Microsoft also is working on the advanced app management functionality, where they will release a solution to update applications as well, and within the Intune suite in that case.
You're referring one thing. We have the new Windows Store for Business, the new Windows Store.
The Microsoft Store, Frans.
Yeah, the Windows Store for Business is retiring. Is there? You're triggering me. So, is there any update mechanism or config policy
to make clear? The Windows Store for Business is just the front end. The back end just stays there, so all the apps which reside in the store will stay there, and you can use Winget or the new app features in Intune to get the same apps from the same store.
Yeah, is there any possibility to maintain or to realize some update policies on that, or is that completely?
No, that's when there's an update. It will be updating.
Yeah.
You can create some custom queries with PowerShell because you can run Winget PowerShell actions. So you can create something, but that's really custom and another approach.
Yeah.
So it's possible. You can you query Winget applications. You can query one application to update. And you can create a PowerShell commandlet for ring 1, ring 2, ring 3 to update and get those things working, but that's really custom.
Yeah. Erik, you're already mentioning third-party solutions to managing Windows updates. Is it necessary to add a third-party solution to manage your applications, in your opinion?
In my case, yes, because if you're managing thousands of endpoints, you want to have a sort of control about updating from an application catalog. And also, I know Joost is also not using Intune native for third-party applications, also another product. So there are many products, like one of our sponsors, Liquid, but also Scapman /PatchMyPC nowadays, who have the
Also sponsors.
Also sponsors. Yes. Since last some weeks also sponsors. So in the case of for modern, we use the Scapman feature, but not every laptop nowadays I manage is a modern device. We have domain joined device where Intune is not working yet. So we have a split modern and domain joined devices. So we have two different systems to maintain. That's a pity, but that's the way we do it now. It's not ideal, but we have to move forward so the order gets smaller and the new solution gets better. But we use the third party. Also, one thing, the new Microsoft what they're offering is also one question I get from internal company. Yeah, it's price. It's the pricing. It's a premium service. So premium is more at the moment more expensive than the third-party solution. So yes, we still use third-party solutions because you want to manage Adobe Reader. You want to have when you deploy a new laptop, you want to have all the apps available for the customer. So you need to add it via third-party in Intune or Liquid, for example.
Yeah, Joost, Erik was mentioning already, you're also using third-party for managing third-party software on a Windows endpoint.
Yeah.
And why is it necessary from your perspective?
Yeah, you get more flexible with your applications. So for applications you need in your environment, you see very fluctuating pieces of software coming up. Those applications can be set with rings or deployment phases in that kind of approach. And Liquid is helping us doing that with CVEs as well. If there is a vulnerability found or something else, like sometimes in Google there is a new CVE, they're going to patch that for us. They're going to deliver that for us, and we can set it on the devices to our customers. If it's going to be a custom application, because it's not a standard application, but is example or a healthcare application, you can create a package for it, and then you can help the developer to test it before it's going to the production environment.
Yeah, basically, we can install an application with Intune. If it's MSIX, Win32, or MSI, when we need to update that application, we need to add an extra package, an extra software package in Intune that updates that previous one. That is basically what we need to do. And Liquid and Patch My PC, Scapman, and all the software is helping us and integrating in Intune to create an update package on that piece of software that we are deploying.
To automate the process.
Yeah.
So that another different approach would be creating your update package yourself and doing it by for smaller companies. That's maybe doable, but if you have Joost and Eric like hundreds of apps to maintain, then you need to have a more automatic approach.
Or many employees.
Oh, yeah.
Too many employees. Yeah. Kenneth, anything to add?
Yeah, again, all these products that we are mentioning are Microsoft partners. So as we know from Microsoft, they tend to deliver a solution. But if it doesn't meet your requirements, there are many vendors in place which can actually add added value on top of that. So I think that is actually a good thing. And again, it will mainly depend on what the application landscape is of our customers.
Yeah.
I also have some customers only using Microsoft 365 apps, and the rest of their apps are coming from the store or are web-based apps, and they clearly don't need any big strategy to update all their applications because they don't have many.
Yeah, so it's based on the use case that you have. If you have a lot of applications or a big company with a lot of users, with to less IT personnel, for example,
Yeah.
then it can be an approach. If you have what you said, Kenneth, if you have a small company with only the Office apps and a few SaaS applications, for example, then it's probably not needed.
Indeed. And I think especially what Erik is mentioning, that applications are also installed on servers. We are talking about RDS servers, etc.
Yep.
And in the end, your strategy should cover everything that you manage.
Yep.
And you shouldn't only focus on your endpoints, but also on your servers in that case, if they contain applications which are vulnerable as well. Maybe even with more priority, because when a server gets hijacked for some reason, it tends to be more in the neighborhood of other servers which you might want to protect as well. Where for the client, if one client is actually compromised, that doesn't necessarily mean nowadays that the whole environment in that case is compromised.
Yeah. Okay. We covered the Windows part, basically complete. Are we missing something, Joost?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to add something.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's
because actually taking this approach of updating with quality updates, feature update, Microsoft 365, Defender, etc., you can actually also use that to update your configuration in your environment. And it's something that on Experts Live, Peter and Joost will also explain. But you can also use the same mechanisms, for example, to roll out a new configuration profile within your environment. Why not use that deployment rings which you already have in order to update a new configuration profile, or maybe a new conditional access policy within your environment as well. So if you set this up in a correct way and users know that they are in front of updates being installed, you can actually leverage that mechanism that you have in place for actually almost anything or any change that you are doing in your Microsoft 365 environment.
Yeah, but not directly based on the rings that we are mentioning, but on the mechanism that we face to use. So the user groups that you.
Yeah, well, let me give you an example. If we have a new conditional access policy, and we, for example, in the naming of the conditional access policy, we have a version number. We might want to use the update rings that we have available to transition from version 1.0 to the new 1.1 version. And we can actually easily do that by first setting that conditional access policy on our update ring 1, excluding it from the other ones, and actually do the rollout in the same way. And by doing that, we have the same mechanism available to roll out these kind of configurations as well, which can be part of your global rollout mechanism.
This is called a spoiler alert.
Yeah, but this recording will be published after the 25th of May.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing happened with that.
Yeah, or you can have a peep of 2 minutes. That's also an option.
Yeah, but we're recording at the 12th of May. We are recording also the previous one has been recorded on this day. So these will be published after the 25th of May. So not an issue. So we covered Windows. What about mobile or macOS? Which one do we touch first?
Yeah, I want to say something about maybe mobile, and especially in the case of mobile application management. Because within mobile application management, we don't manage the device. But what we can do in a protection policy is actually warn users if they are using an old version of either iOS or Android. And if you make it even more extreme, we can even block all the versions of that operating system. So then it's more a way of pushing users to update their devices, because if they don't, they actually lose access to corporate data. When it comes to
basically what you're saying is we don't manage the updates, but we are blocking if you are on a previous level of An operating system.
And it's actually the same that we can do, for example, with compliance policies. That we say, well, okay, your device is compliant, but it should be running on the latest version of Windows.
Yeah.
And so it's not a way of forcing it, but there are consequences if users are not fully up to date.
But that's in an approach of mobile application management.
The example that I give is for mobile application management, but of course the compliance policies are applicable to macOS, MDM managed devices like iOS, Android, and of course also Windows.
But can we manage updates, operating system updates for iOS or Android if it's a mobile device management managed device?
I know it for iOS, but
only for iOS?
No, I know it only for iOS.
And macOS also, but
yeah, but not for Android.
That's a difficult one. I don't know. I can search for us.
I don't think it's there, but
you can do something with compliance policies, but I'm not sure if the ring structure is really fully applicable for mobile devices.
No, for Android it isn't possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, half of the time everything is auto-updating and so on. So you can have a little bit more control, like Kenneth says, around versioning. Please update your device now, because otherwise you will lose access. But that can easily be done by just updating the protection policy or the compliance policy.
First of all, we need to mention that why is it needed to control updates on a mobile phone?
You can have on iOS there sometimes
if we
updates, but there's hardly a way to control it, and like rings are there to mitigate issues, to make sure that you identify issues in an early stage.
Yeah,
and in the mobile world,
that's different.
It's a little bit more different.
Yeah, but we can control that you are up to date if you are access company resources with the compliance policy, with conditional access and so on.
In iOS, you can choose for latest update.
Yeah,
and you can choose for any previous versions that are available in a drop-down box. So you can create some kind of stuff. And you can tell update in next check-in or update during a scheduled time or outside of a scheduled time. Yeah. So you can do a lot more. Found some on corporate-owned Android as well. So you can do a little bit of updates there as well. And macOS is coming fastly to that state as well to update it. So
but you need to take in consideration if it's a personal device, why should you manage the updates on a personal device?
Even updates on a personal device you cannot control. That's only be done via compliance policies or app protection policy with the conditional launch. Only fully managed, like supervised devices or fully Android devices, you have some control.
Yeah. Kenneth?
Yeah, that's it. And I think in this case, especially Android is challenging, because in most cases, the Android version that you are running is a version tailored to the manufacturer of the device. There's a Samsung Android version available, and also Samsung defines when that update is becoming available, and that isn't necessarily at the same day that Android is releasing the latest version of their OS. So especially within Android, we see a diverse set of versions being used. Fact is, though, that we need to have some control of what devices are managing our environment, and therefore we can loosen some restrictions, but it's not like all sensors should be dropped in that case.
But then again, why should you care about the device? Just app protection without enrollment for the win.
Yeah. Erik?
Yeah, we use a combination, for example, for the Android of Samsung Knox, because you have also provisioning and deprovisioning like the Apple Business Manager. It is not only updating, but also the autopilot process for to make a parallel. And Samsung Knox has that features to update. So Intune is not there yet.
It's not.
And maybe not the vision of it.
It's not doesn't have anything to do with Intune. Intune is just a vehicle in this way, and Samsung knocks and Samsung built knocks because Android is lacking in this case, and it's not Intune is lacking. Mobile Iron doesn't have the same also. So it's Android is lacking features. So Samsung built their own
mechanism.
MDM.
Dus for a company we use Samsung Knox, and for Apple you see also a joint venture with Jamf. So it is also an option for managing that. So you can have better together. I think if you want to manage it all, if you want it, that's a question I think that we can recap. Do you really want to manage that? And if you want to manage it, then you need an extra tool.
But with the remark that in the end it depends on what the manufacturer of the operating system is providing you to do. So if there's like an Android version coming from a company Hakitaki to say so, and they don't provide that functionality, you're lost. And therefore, especially in the Android world, standardizing on products, for example, Samsung using Knox in that case, but we also have the Zebra devices, which have their similar management platform, is a preferred way when it comes to company wanting to have some control over their Android devices as well.
We have a look at the time. We need to cover one extra item. So we managed also mobile, taking consideration why you should do that, have a use case for that. Then last part, Erik was already mentioning JamF, macOS. Do we need definitely JamF, or can we maintain updates also through Intune?
Yeah, Microsoft has a partnership, but it doesn't withhold them to invest in Intune in Intune to support macOS, and there's a lot of investment going on in that space. So you have also the update policies to control updates in a Mac world. So you can use the same kind of update approach.
It's getting better, really better than it was.
And then also, of course, Microsoft is depending on what Apple provides them to do, because
they have their APIs and
they are using the MDM, the native MDM stack, and whereas Jamf has their own agent, so Jamf is using their agent in a different way, so they have a little bit more flexibility around it. But Apple is also investing in their MDM stack. So
anything to add? Or do we have...
I think we've covered a lot, and I think we're there, but...
The rest will be on Express Live, but you know.
And again, to summarize, don't be worried that if you don't configure anything, that your devices will not be updated. That's a fact. But again, you might want to start thinking about having some control on when updates take place. And that is actually where the update rings kick in as a mechanism to get that control in your environment.
And if you want to know more about the update rings, Peter and Joost have already, when this comes available, it's Express Live Netherlands was there. They gave a session about update rings, so please contact them.
How to become the Lord of the Update Rings.
So if you want to know more, contact them, and if you have an issue or something else, reach out, and then probably they can help. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe at our channel, so you know when thumbs up when a new video or a new podcast will be available. And thanks for listening now, and see you next time. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.